There is a sixth dimension beyond that which is known to man. A multiverse as vast as eternity, as timeless as the Infinity Gems. It is the middle ground between the big two and the indie publishers, between sci-fi and mysticism, and it lies between the pages of the reader's imagination. At the summit of entertainment, the dimension of comics, where a humble service is held. We call this service the Gospel of Comics.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. I am your host, the Church of Failure, and with me as always is my trusty co-host, Aaron McCartney. How you doing this week, buddy?
Oh, man. I just flew in from Chernobyl, and boy, are my arms legs.
God, I hate you so much. Why do I keep inviting you back on the show? Why do I even keep doing the show? Like,
I have no idea.
It's almost like I enjoy talking with you again. What the fuck is wrong with me? Anyway, joining us in the virtual studio this week is a special guest, returning guest, Mr. Ryan Haack of Bric-a-Brac. I still think you should pronounce it Haack. Anyway, how are you doing this week, man?
I'm excellent. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It's never a problem. Like I said, I really enjoyed book one. I'm looking forward to book two. While we are here today, actually, now that I've spilled the beans on it, is because you have released issue number 2 of Bric-a-Brac, correct?
That's right. I have. Yep. It's on Indiegogo currently. Yep.
Okay. That's what we're here to talk about tonight. Ayrton, do you remember Bric-a-Brac number 1?
I do. Surprisingly, but...
That'll be rude.
What?
No, anyway, I was with you on the day you launched over on Drew Love's channel. So, ending up on launch day, it looks like you cleared almost $1,800 USD. And you've got, 32 days, or is this your extended campaign? I'm not sure how this works.
This is extended. Yes,
okay.
It is extended.
Okay. No,
yes.
it was
so
that
we
version
made
I was on
in the first
day. I'm
roughly.
Sorry.
I was like, man, I wish on my first day I got that one. But no, yeah. So we had kind of like we got the first 20% in like the first 25 days, which isn't horrible. You know, we can extend and, like I said, I'm going to push as hard as I can to make it happen because I really believe in it. I'm going to try some new tactics, maybe paid promotion. I don't know, somehow I'm going to try to get it out there. Try to get more people's eyes on it. That's the most important thing, I think.
Absolutely.
So, right. Figuring out ways to do that.
So when we left Bric-a-Brac, we were introduced to such characters as Jack Frost, the Gingerbread Man Army, and Father Christmas. So where do we pick up in issue 2?
Yes. Well, Jack Frost has been mentioned, but not fully seen. So in the first issue, he's mentioned. We've met in the first issue. We see that our main character Garrett, who's the little kid. If you look at my avatar on Discord, or if you're on the campaign page now, he's the kid there, and he's alongside his friend Marie, who is the gingerbread lady, who's kind of helping him and guiding him through Planet Christmas to find Father Christmas, because there's a war on Planet Christmas. That's, basically the Nutcrackers who are forging this war waging this war on Planet Christmas. They've kidnapped, a lot of Garrett's friends. They've destroyed his home, destroyed all his friends and family, and kidnapped them. And there's also, they've destroyed a lot of the providences all over Planet Christmas. And so he decides he's going to find Father Christmas, who he believes can make everything right. That's really what the first issue is about. This one is really him going on that journey. And so we start at the North Pole, where they thought Santa Claus was going to be Father Christmas, but he kind of has escaped. And issue 2 is going to introduce us to about 3 different characters that are brand new. So Jack Frost, and also the Ghost of Christmas Past, Present, and Future, as well as a lot of other characters that people are really going to like, and it adds more conflict to the story. Things will get a little bit more complicated between Garrett and Marie, who realize they have different goals, and it's really just a proper sequel in every way, I think. to the first book. And I think in a lot of ways it adds more conflict and a lot more problems for them to figure out on their quest.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say that's kind of what issue 2 is in a nutshell.
This up here, I did have the campaign pulled up while you were talking about that. That's what you were talking about on the main page thing. So as we scroll down, the Christmas Odyssey continues. You talk about the original Bric-a-Brac funding. Issue 2 will be a 30-page comic book written by you, featuring interior art by Raphael Sam. Is that is the first artist that was on the book? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
So we'll have the original creative team. And if you don't know, if you weren't able to get Bric-a-Brac #1, it was absolutely stylistic choices made were phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it is definitely a polished book, I feel like. And same with this one. I think it's going to look amazing. And I think people would buy it even if there weren't words on it. So that's kind of a good thing. So that kind of, that takes a lot of pressure off of you when you're like just kind of coordinating everything. You realize that people would probably buy it if there weren't any words on it. So there's that.
Yeah, I follow Raphael on Instagram, actually, and I always see him posting his other artwork. And he has just such a particular style that's so like whimsical but kind of dark, and I love it every time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, his Instagram is great because you get to see his take on so many different characters. Like he's doing Scooby-Doo right now, but he's done so many different, Samurai Jack or just a lot of great Mega Man or, just so many great cartoons, Rugrats or The Simpsons. He's just so great at kind of taking something and I don't know. I think he's just really great with his approach to the Christmas characters we all know, because his view on it is just kind of changing them a little bit and making them his style, giving them signature things that are very particular to his kind of overall style. Really, like I just think that he has such a great vision. I feel like with everything. So he was the perfect artist. We met 2 years ago. And we kind of planned to make this happen, and it kind of pittered out. And then he made a lot of designs, and then I kind of rethought about the story. And then we came back on Indiegogo last fall and successfully funded it. And it was just such a great process all around.
Church, you were going to say something?
Muted right now. I don't know why that I forget that I have that. We talked a lot about Bric-a-Brac #1 when you were on the first campaign, and a lot of those themes are going to cross over. Like I can tell that you're going to have the ability to purchase physical copies of issue #1 and 2 on the campaign here. You've got the digital deluxe as well. So if you missed a story and just want to pick up the digital, that for $15. You can get physical copy delivered to your door for $12, digital for $8, a double pack of the digital for $15 with 1 and you got a pretty good deal going on here, and from getting the physical book in my hand, it was well produced. The cover stock was nice, the stock was real. Colors were very vibrant, and like you said, the artwork and the interiors, like even if you couldn't read, if there was no writing to the side, just a plot line to the artist, it's a great thing. Like it's something that you really, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We just wanted to craft like a true, kind of like the book. If you get the book and you look inside it, we wanted to make it look like a little golden book, or maybe like one of the hundreds of versions of The Night Before Christmas you've seen illustrated by different people.
Right.
We wanted to make like the book kind of look like that, and we just wanted to give it that aura and the feel, because a lot of like comic books, we didn't want it to be flimsy, because that would kind of defeat the purpose, because again, we wanted to go for more of the storybook feel. And the same with the pages, and the artwork I believe is the same thing. It's just kind of going for more of a storybook kind of storytelling, I guess. Yeah, that was really what we were going for. But it does have a lot of comic book elements, but there's no double page spreads or anything like that. It's not like a big action centric comic book. It's more about the story, the art. It's very much just kind of like a children's comic book, but it's also good for adults, and it has a lot of themes, especially in issue 2, where we're going to go into things that are, I would say, a little bit more serious. It's the sequel, so the characters are going to be at their lowest at the end of it, and so I think that people will be really satisfied with it.
Okay. So when back over the campaign is going through some artwork right now, is Raphael doing the colors as well, or?
Yes. So both artists. So we have Tom Barton, and Tom Barton is doing our backup story. It's a 5-page backup story, and he also does all the covers. And then Raphael, and he does all his coloring, and then Raphael also does all his coloring. So it's kind of crazy how, yeah.
All right. I'll have to look into Tom here. Like he says here on the campaign, Tom's been working as an illustrator for the last 5 years. He's done several comics, including a short webcomic series, Legends, called Pull Off versus Everything. Biggest influence are the likes of Joe Madureira, Chris Bacalo, and Ed McGuinness. When he's not working on comics, he's coming character designs, concept art, and writing his own stories. His Instagram is at TomOtron.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great artist as well. Yep.
Okay. So
do we have any sample art in the campaign from him?
Yes. So there is well, first the cover, and then there's the page where there's all the animals around the Christmas tree, and then there's the page where Father Christmas is sitting around with all the people at the table, and then so there's a lot of different pages that he's worked on, but their art is very complementary to each other, although there's a lot of significant differences, because I would say one cool thing about them is that I would say their art is super complementary.
Yeah, it's not like a jarring transition between the two, just scrolling through your campaign here.
Right. Like, if you wouldn't have mentioned that, I would have never thought that was two different artists, honestly. Like, I can see the differences now that you pointed it out, but I would have never, picked up on the fact that there had been a heavy art.
Yeah, that's crazy because, I mean, it's true, though. They really, especially with the covers, which are more colorful and detail, just more colorful. I feel like they look like they could either be done by Raphael or Tom. And so, it's really interesting how they're so complementary to each other. So I think that's a good thing, but also it's great because, Tom, who is not usually used to doing sequential art, gets to kind of work on that. And then Raphael also isn't that used to doing sequential art. So it's cool that they get an opportunity. This book gives them an opportunity to do that and kind of shine a different way, because I think they're both amazing, absolutely great artists. So
almost definitely. I love the details in that dinner scene too.
Yeah. That is the part of the backup story. That's the backup story that we have. And so this is the first. I mean, the first issue was very much just the interior art. That's it. The interior 25-page story. But this one, we're trying to give a little bit more value and adding a 5-pager also with it. And so, and then hopefully some variant. I'm going to be on Drawn and Quartered, I guess. So I would love to put some of the fan art and stuff like that in the back of it too, because there was some fan art from last time, some fan art from Hope this time, and so I'd like to add them both together and put them in the back. So I think that would be super cool to do too.
Oh yeah, I mean, most creators don't really do stuff like that till they're way up there, or they make like a compilation thing or something. No, I like that idea. Church, are you alive?
I keep muting myself, and I don't know why. like I've been talking off and on, and I just kind of let you go. But no, I was about to get mad, and I was like, "Am I just muted?" And I had to go back to the OBS, switching back and forth.
Well, knock it off.
Make me fucking fire you. Because you completed the first campaign. Since that one, what's something that you changed, found out, and kind of learned from doing the second campaign?
Yeah, well, from the first campaign to this campaign, I failed 5 campaigns. Okay, so I've kind of, and I know it's only been like a year or not even, so it's been a lot. And like through that trial and error, and I've tried to get like a lot. I tried to get a version of this campaign off the ground. It was like a full-on collection because I thought that's kind of what people wanted. Because I was like, oh well, it would be great if I could just get it all done and then have it shipped to people in December, right? And so we had it in May or something like that, or in April. I think we launched it, and we didn't get. The goal was like a crazy amount of money, and it just wasn't going to work. And I understood. It was also a trying time because, just the whole virus was at its peak at that point. And so, and then I tried some other things. My other anthology, which I'm still working on and collecting stories for, I failed like 3 campaigns for that, and it's just like. You just start to learn, and I'm by no means a master at crowdfunding. It's very difficult, and I don't think I'm really just learning. And this is the first time I've gotten over 20% for a whole year. So that's like a huge thing for me. And so I really want to fight for this campaign, and it's tough. It's really hard, and it's just really good to get yourself out there as much as possible. Like I think. If you don't have like at least 50 views on your campaign a day or 100 views, you just need to make that happen. And that's the thing I've learned, I would say, in terms of just advertisement is so critical.
Well, you have to
it's so critical. You have to. Yeah. Because I think you have to think like if 100 people are visiting your site a day, there's got to be a backer in that 100 people. There has to be. Right. And, or maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Like there has to be a backer in that 100 people. There has to be. And so, that's just kind of my philosophy now. I'm going to really try these next 30 days to make that happen. I want it so bad. I would love this to be a thing. Other things I've learned is just, listening to what the people want too, because there was a lot of people who also told me I would really just like to do issue 1, issue 2, issue 3. If you could make that happen instead, because, we love all the variant covers and we like having different reprints of issue 1 and issue 2. And then, if I just had one trade paperback, it would have one cover and that's it. But I think a lot of people like the collection. They like the different campaigns that I can do. And I think that was the better choice. It's cheaper, the choice. And I think, I just think it's an all-around better choice. It's a lot easier to sell 2 books than just sell 1 book, because with this campaign, I'm selling 2 books basically. Because for people who haven't gotten, gotten familiar with the series at all, it's good. But yeah, those are kind of some things I've learned. It's just a trial and error. It's really difficult. Crowdfunding is very hard, and it's a battle. It will take, a pound of flesh, no doubt. But it is worth it. And so that's why I keep fighting for it. Just keep trying to learn new things and trying to try new tactics. And yeah.
Well, I mean, you are definitely. But
I wanted to ask him to kind of tell us a little bit about like his perspective from the printing and fulfillment side of this thing. Since you're. It's been kind of our thing when creators come on after they finish the project, because the logistics of all of that seems like it could be very annoying, especially depending on where you live.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm really lucky now to have I have a copy of the book. I know exactly the first book. I know what it feels like. I know how many, it's the exact weight that the other one's going to be. So it's great that I have that. And now I know the price of shipping. But when you don't know, and when you haven't had something like that, and you might bring people recommend bringing a copy of a book that you feel is going to be representative of the weight and size of the book you want to make to the post office and say, how much would this be to ship to the UK or this or that. And,
right.
That's a really good thing. I didn't do that, but, thankfully I made it out really good. And I had a lot of extra money that I could use to, use for the extra shipping money I needed for international stuff like that. But, you can do a lot of research, you can do a lot of things, but there are going to be a lot of things out of pocket you'll have to pay for. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That's just kind of the trade-off with crowdfunding, is that, you're going to have to spend an exorbitant amount of money kind of just getting something off the ground, getting the work, getting the pages done, getting all this done, and then, promoting. There's a lot of money you have to spend on your own. So that's one of the behind the scenes things that, people don't really talk about. And then, but the shipping, it kind of is fun after a while, but you do worry, like, is it going to get damaged? Is it going to, and I live in New York City, so I would like go to school and bring, 5 copies of it in my backpack, and then go to the post office at a little, thankfully in New York, they have like these, basically you could just, scan your thing and make a little stamp for it and just send it through. That's all you have to do. And so I would sit at one of those, I would sit at one of those, I forget what they're called, like just self-checkout things.
Like a kiosk sort of thing.
Yeah, a kiosk, exactly. And I would just sit there for an hour, and sometimes an hour and a half or 2 hours between classes, and just send them every day, just keep going back. And I think they thought I was crazy after a while, but like just kept going back and kept going back. And but yeah, that was kind of the whole process with that. And so it was, it was kind of annoying, because I was like, man, I started shipping them in mid-February, and it didn't end until like mid-January, and it didn't end until like mid-February. But yeah, it was actually really great once I figured that I had enough money to ship. And so I was a little worried at first. I was like, man, do I have enough money for shipping? But thankfully everything worked out. So this time my goal is bigger. I wanted to make sure that I have enough money to make everything work. I don't want to go halfway. I don't want to have to, I don't like doing that. I want to have the money I need, and I know I need to make the product as good as I can make it. I don't want to go halfway. I hate doing that, because I don't like being I don't like not being confident in the product. So if I'm going to make it happen, I have to have that amount of money. I'm not going lower than that,
Well, and I would imagine it's more satisfying for you to be able to go.
Oh yeah, because there were some times when I was worried. Yeah, absolutely. There were times when I was worried. I was like, man, will I have enough money to do this? Or because with the first campaign, I failed, on Kickstarter once, and I was like, man, maybe if I just did $1,000 less, which was a stupid idea. But thankfully, I made it out, because I actually didn't need all those extra expenses. But crowdfunding, you have to really do the math, and look at your previous campaigns, and really just try to do the best you can, and there's some websites that can help you do that, that I know of. But, I think it really helps when you have fulfilled a campaign, and you've just done something really small. Luckily, I did a really small project before the first campaign that I was able to fulfill, and so it kind of helped me. I think that's the best way you can learn. But
experience is the best teacher.
Well, and one thing
exactly.
One thing you mentioned earlier, right around March when it was shutting down, because nobody could have predicted the cost going sky high for the open, and nobody could have foreseen the fact that shipping materials just kind of dried up, because the companies had shut down, the shipping was halted. So many things happened that just couldn't have been seen, and I think that was kind of a big eye opener for people doing these crowdfunding. Is that no matter how well you do math, anything can happen to just completely throw you off your course.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's always something like that. Yeah, luckily I finished all the shipping before the COVID. Before it was even. In my knowledge, I like early February, so I was really lucky to be able to just get it done. I couldn't imagine what it would be like finishing it, during, quarantine or something like that. It would just be horrible. But I'm really lucky that I finished it before then.
Now, what if any advice would you have to, say, somebody who wants to jump into crowdfunding? This is going to be their first campaign. They're excited about it. They're ready to push it. What's like the biggest like single piece of advice you could give them for getting their like assuming everything goes good with all the unforeseen variables? What's that like biggest piece of advice you could give somebody?
Yeah, so I think it's two things really. Like I have a podcast that I read short stories, all original short stories on twice a week, and I put it on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music. And I'm not saying that I have a huge fan base yet, but I have a small fan base, and every time I advertise it and say, hey, I have this. So like I would say to everyone who wants to crowdfund, they should have some kind of content that's outside of the crowdfunding. Like that, that's like if you are an artist and you are doing a crowdfunding and you go on Discord or you go on Twitch and you stream drawing, that's huge. It's like, I think there needs to be a poll first. Like you can't, I think it's really difficult for people just to do crowdfunding and just have that as their only vehicle of showing people their work. Like so I would say that have some kind of content. Like, for writers, just, do podcasts. Like I know it's so hard for some writers to, write prose, for example, if you're used to writing comic books, but it's so, just do it, just find some way or just have a talk show like you guys have. Just do something that can actually is content. And then from there, you can share it and, culminate some sort of small fan base. And that's one thing. And that takes time. Well, one thing that doesn't take time is just, the second thing is just advertise all the time, just like, go on Facebook, Twitter, and interview with as many people as you can, get the word out. And it doesn't matter who you interview with. Anyone who will have you on, you should go on, and
even to alcoholic comic book fans.
Yes,
exactly. Yes. Any show that you will have on, it's a gift. Because you just have to think, like, these two people want to talk to me about my book. Like, that's amazing. That's an amazing thing. I mean, this is incredible. How amazing. 2 days ago, nobody knew who I was. Like, now these two people want to talk. So it's just kind of like that. So it's just finding the audience, finding people who are interested in comic books. I think those are the two things. It's just have a content of your own merit, something you can do without anybody's money. And, kind of build off of that, grow an Instagram account, if you are an artist, or, grow a podcast if you're a writer, or have a book club, or have a podcast that you do, that you talk about comic books with. There's so many options. And then the second thing is just advertise all the time. Find new ways, challenge yourself. It's going to be hard. There's no, it's going to be really hard. It's not for the faint of heart. If everyone, here's the thing. It's like, if crowdfunding was easy, there would be many, many, many successful campaigns, but there's a lot that fail.
Right.
And so you have to just grin and bear it and just keep going. And so, yeah, I guess that's my advice, but I can't even really give advice yet because I know so many people who are implementing things that I don't implement and doing way better than me. Like I've just really begun the journey, But I would say that those are the two things that I've really thought about deeply this year. As I said, I failed 5 campaigns. So I've had time to internalize the different failures, the different things I could have done better. And so I came up with those two things, I guess.
All right. You hear that, folks? Listen to the man.
That is how you do it. And, for those of you that don't know, I mean, Ryan's a young kid. He's younger than either one of us. And having a couple of successful campaigns under your belt at that age is nothing to scoff at. So, now, when we were on Drew Love's show, the guest is going to be on the Problem in the Multiverse later on. A couple of things that we touched on was some things that you would either change or do differently with your campaign. But for the most part, I mean, I think you have very reasonable and great pricing. Like the ability to get a couple of digital copies for less than a physical copy of most of these campaigns and keep up with the entire story. I mean, that's fantastic. That's something that I think needs to stay in the public eye for as long as humanly possible, because that was one of my biggest fears with crowdfunding books, is that the original issues would go out of circulation because there's only so many of them. You can't buy them in a store usually. So if you're not running a campaign, I can't catch up on Bric-a-Brac #1 if you launch Bric-a-Brac #3 without continuing to offer it. Now, I know a lot of people are cautious of doing digital issues. So, do you have any advice for people that don't do issues? Like, suggest continuing to do a, maybe second or third printing run of the originals based on the crowdfund? Or so.
Well, okay, I think there are some cases where people should not do digital. For example, if you have like a hardbound book that Earthworm Jim style, it would make no sense for that book to be digital. I mean, the whole thing is actually the feel of the book. I mean, if having felt the book and having backed it, I realized that I would severely regret just having the digital copy. But if it is a floppy, I think there's different expectations, and it's just different. And one thing that I think about PDFs and the digital stuff is it's basically free money. There's no shipping. There's no anything you have to do. You just send it to them. That's it. You just give people the Dropbox link, and that's it. Virtually, that's really all it is. But the drawback is that people can share it with other people if you give a shareable link. There's not really any way to not have it spread around. And I think that's the biggest fear, is that people don't want their comic book that they worked really, really hard on just spreading around to anybody.
Right.
And I think that's it. That's the big fear. I think also, people don't want to lose money, where people can get like the $8 digital. They don't want to lose money. They would rather have someone, spend, $20 or whatever. But I think the biggest fear is the idea of just, swiping it offline from someone's Dropbox link and I get that. But at the same time, I just have a feeling it would happen. I don't know. I don't really get that fear. I'm not a huge. I mean, if your campaign succeeds, that's the success there. I don't really care if after the campaign succeeds.
I think that's the idea. There's a dichotomy to that argument. You have people
there is.
that point to Game of Thrones and they say, well, even though it's the most pirated television show in human history, it still made humongous, massive numbers. And in DVD sales and trade paperbacks, like, people that pirate things still buy physical copies of things they enjoy a large portion of the time, I feel.
Right.
I mean, there's just something about having a physical copy of something as opposed to just having a digital file.
Oh yeah, easily.
I don't think that people are immune to supporting things they enjoy. I feel like piracy is nothing more than an ability to sample something before, you commit to buying it. And with some of these things, I can understand that, because I mean, some of these campaigns, you're shelling out $60, $70, $100 before you even know if you're going to like the product.
Right. Or if it's going to come.
And exactly. And it's just kind of a dichotomy. And I think that there are good elements of argument on either side, and I can understand why you wouldn't offer that. But I can also see the side of the argument saying that the more exposure you have, the more opportunity you have to make a sale.
Yeah, there's two sides of it. Yeah, definitely.
Well, and even if we just look at where your campaign is now, out of, let's see, 51 backers, only 2 of them claim the digital. So I still think everybody hates digital copies of stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
So, like, even if it gets pirated and spread around a little bit, if the people that read it that way, they really like it, they're gonna hate having just the digital, and gonna want the physical copy of it.
Definitely.
At least I know that's the case for me. I hate reading on a screen. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, even a news article, I can barely get through reading on a screen. God, let alone a entire comic book.
Exactly.
It's like pulling teeth for me to read a digital copy. But, you know, you hand me a physical one, I'll flip right through that.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the Kindle. I never understood why people like the Kindle. I cannot understand it. It's very difficult for me to even
once, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's just better to. I don't know. It's very strange, but yeah, I think that especially people who are into the niche comic book, crowdfunding, they want the actual. They want
absolutely.
the book. There's no doubt about it. It's a niche market. There's no doubt about it. And I think that people are collectors and they want it. And so that's probably why there are only 2 digital backers. It's just the market. That's kind of who the people, the clientele, like are. It's just yeah. So I think that's kind of exactly that. But also I would say another thing about digital is that I've had international people reach out to me and say, hey, I just want digital, and I don't want to leave them out. And there's a lot of benefits. There are worries, but I think that again, exposure is exposure regardless. So the Dropbox file could get out, whatever, but exposure is exposure. People are going to know how good the art is. And
let me just make a counter argument to that. There's nothing stopping somebody from taking a cheap newsprint copy, scanning it, and making a digital comic out of that, or scanning a physical copy of your actual $35 book and making a of that and profiting on it. So, I mean, criminals go criminal.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's really no way around it.
It's ease of access, yes. Like, there's no way that I personally would do that with any crowdfunded book that I ever had. But I think an answer to that and the fear of that would be to look into printing alternatives, like with alternate comics, print edition, instead of like a high quality cardstock cover, stuff like that. You do a newsprint edition with a floppy cover, sell for $5 of the back issues, and that'll let people stay caught up with the story if they don't want to commit to high quality printings. And then you create kind of a secondary market for people that might have an extra copy that they can put on eBay, or you give people a reason to buy a second copy to put on eBay for that collector market. But
exactly.
Without a version that's an ease of access version, I feel like you're omitting a certain part of the customer base. And I don't want to ever think that Comicsgate kind of looks at things like I don't ever want Comicsgate to take the Magic the Gathering route for crowdfunded comics, even without even the label. I don't want them to take the Magic the Gathering route and omit a large portion of a customer base because of price constriction. So that's kind of my point of view on it. Like, if you don't have a $5 or a $10 option for book delivery or a digital copy, like you have a physical copy for $12 and you have a copy for $8, and it kind of goes up from there. You don't quite double to get issue 1 in that same bundle, and I feel like that's the way to be. Like, eventually, I think the end goal should be is to eventually have an option to do like a second printing, print edition, or whatever for that $5.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
And we're fans of newsprint. Well, I mean, let's be honest here.
I've always been a big fan of the idea of a reprint, or keeping the story in circulation. I don't ever see a reprint should fall out of circulation.
Well, yeah, and it's like Led Zeppelin 1, the very first Zeppelin album. I have it on vinyl. It's not the original press of the vinyl. I think it's a press from probably like the 80s or something like that. But it's the same sort of idea. Like, people still want to listen to that album, so they keep pressing it. Sure, it might not be the original one that's worth hundreds of dollars just for a stupid piece of vinyl in the shape of a circle, but that's not the point. The point's to enjoy it. So I mean, even if it is a 14th printing on newsprint, I don't care.
Right.
If I like the story, I want it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you've got your collector's aspect, and I think that there's definitely a market for that, and I think that a lot of people capitalize on that market by buying multiple copies, and then they put them on eBay for 2-3 times what the campaign went for, and then they fluctuate in the natural market way, and that's great. That's capitalism. But I think you can't limit the access and the accessibility game, the comic book, whatever you're doing. You can't limit your customer base simply because of financial. This isn't fashion. This isn't rare cut gems. This is storytelling. This is art. Like you want to reach the largest.
Here's what you do if you want to make $1 million on this book. Just do a limited edition variant that costs $1,000 each. That's just white with the word Supreme written in red on it, and people will go crazy.
That's right. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Supreme variant cover. Jake Paul, autographed or whatever. No, but like I say, I think it's just ease of access. I think that you have to have the story readily available. And when you omit that customer base, you're omitting people who always come back to support you in the
Exactly.
I don't know. If I couldn't get my hands on a copy of The Dark Knight Returns as a 56 reprint in the trade paperback form for $20, I never would have read it, and I never would have sought out a $200 leather-bound hardback edition, right? Like, people that don't get to experience something for a smaller value never spend the good money on it because they'll never realize what they're.
Right. No, that's totally true. Totally true. Yeah, because why would I ever want to buy the, why would I ever want to buy the unwrapped version of, Batman Hush? Well, because I actually got the $20 version with the Jim Lee artwork, and I was so into it that I wanted to get, the unwrapped version. That's, an extra $50, but it's Jim Lee artwork. It's just that kind of thing where one thing leads to the other.
No, you get my point. But we've gotten off on a bit
no, I definitely do.
Here. I do want to give you the final closing moments. We've got about 13 minutes left. I want to give you the final thoughts here. What else did you want to talk about with this campaign? Have we missed anything? We've kind of gone through tiers.
We got through the tiers. Again, it's just a true. We're gonna pick up immediately where we left off. Immediately. So I just think that it's a true sequel, but also it's basically like an Act 2. It's an Act 2, really, of the whole story. Act 3, we're going to end on a really good note. Obviously, it's not a tragedy or anything like that. It's going to have a uplifting ending because it is a children's story. But we're gonna and there's going to be an epic battles. This issue in particular has some great battles. One being. If you're interested, it's kind of like the only one-on-one battle in the entire book. Jack Frost versus the main Nutcracker bad guy, who they both have some history with each other that's, they don't like each other anymore. And so they just basically go to town on each other. And so you see one of the pages from the fight there. I thought that was going to be really cool to showcase. And yeah, that's an epic battle. We haven't really seen any one-on-one battles before. We've seen some larger scope battles in the first issue, but that'll be something you'll get to see. And we've had a training sequence kind of in the first issue. But so that's huge. They're going to be going to different settings that we've never seen before. I tried to with the first one, we went to a tropical place, then we went to kind of like an underground, mine. And then we went to, the North Pole, which was snowy. With this one, we're going to go to kind of like a forest, the poinsettia forest, which is basically where all these overgrown, strange looking poinsettias are growing. And there's a group of individuals who live within these forests that hate Christmas and basically both Garrett and they're basically like Grinches, but they try to avoid Christmas at all costs, and they live in this forest. And our two characters are going to find them, and there's all these different things that happen in this book, and a lot of new characters, a lot of fun, and I think people are really going to like it. So I would say that new settings, new characters, new conflicts. It's everything Act 2 I think should be. And I honestly believe that the story has improved, because I think that some people had complaints about maybe the story being too generic, or maybe the character kind of having vague, or some characters showing up, like, for example, the brother of the Nutcracker kind of just showed up at the North Pole, but we'll figure out why he did. Or, there's some things that in issue 1 I wasn't able to kind of explain. We were dropped right into the war. So with the help of a backup story and more, background information given about characters, I think issue 2 will, answer a lot of people's questions. So, yeah.
All right. I mean,
awesome.
Pretty succinct. It's definitely, you definitely have a vision here. You definitely have goals. You're basically what you need people to do is go to the Indiegogo link linked in the description down, and immediately look at this project. If nothing else, back the digital copy and take a look at it. And if you haven't backed digital copies for issue number 1, then do that. If you're more of a physical copy kind of guy, back the physical copies. If you didn't get the physical for issue number 1, get the double pack. Do you see where I'm going with this? Give the man some money, people.
Yeah, it would help, or even a share helps. Again, yeah, right. Share really does help, right. Because again, it's about the thing we talked about, the 100 views a day. It's like that's the thing. It's just out of that 100, there will be 5 people. There has to be.
Share it on your personal Facebook. Annoy all the people having political arguments. Throw some comic books in there. Remind them that Christmas is around the corner. Help do something good.
True.
I mean, why allow all this negativity and everything that's just burning all around us to dampen our spirits when you have not only Halloween around the corner, but Christmas right after that? I'm not going to let 2020 ruin Christmas, goddammit!
Or Halloween.
Or Halloween.
They've already ruined
Hopefully
Halloween.
It doesn't ruin.
It's going to ruin Halloween. I've given up on that.
No, I'm going trick-or-treating. I don't care. I'm 29 years old. I'm going to do it.
You have to do it in a child's Power Rangers costume.
Okay, I will. I'll go search eBay.
Okay. Yeah, just get like a big kid's Power Rangers costume. It's like high waters and has the plastic mask with the rubber band around the back.
Yeah, like I had when I was a kid. If you don't think I'm actually searching eBay right now.
Oh, I didn't miss the rap battles for any particular reason. They got called off anyway. So definitely DM me when the next ones are, because I do need to participate in those. But it was happening the same time as the biggest problem, and we also were able to get Ryan on right now, so I had to cancel and reschedule. Luckily, they didn't happen at all, so I'm still undefeated, baby! Sorry, I'm the best rapper in comics, according to my undefeated record.
Okay. Awesome.
I mean, you can't prove me wrong. No one's beaten me because I've never competed.
Maybe Dan Friga, he kind of raps, I guess, right?
Well, him and 6 a.m., they could both beat me, but I'll never go against them, so I'll never lose to them. See, that's how you have to do it.
True. Or Dan, or what's his name? Ed Piskor. He raps, I bet, because he does like the, I don't know.
Yeah, just send me a list of everybody offline. Just send me a DM of everybody who raps, so I know never to battle them, so I'll never lose.
I mean, I
can't think of anyone else in comics who would rap.
I haven't had enough to drink yet to rap, but if I was in the rap battles, I'd be about a pint deeper than I already am.
Awesome.
That's a pint of liquor, not beer. But anyway, Mr. Ryan.
Man, these Power Ranger costumes are expensive.
Yeah, they are. I'm talking about the ones that I had when I was like 7.
Oh yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Yeah, they're like $160.
That's crazy.
Anyway, Mr. Ryan Haack, I definitely appreciate it. If you don't know Ryan and you want to follow him or check him out, find a link to his Twitter, his YouTube, and his Indiegogo page in the description down below. Definitely check that out. Give him a follow on Twitter. Give him a subscribe on YouTube. And check out the campaign. Even if you can't contribute, be sure to share. Now, I'm going to ask all of our guests on the gospel this, and I'm going to implore that they come on to the biggest problem in the multiverse with it. But if you had to pick a problem that you thought was the biggest problem in or about comic books, either in the real world or in the world of comic books, what would it be?
There's a lot to choose from, ain't there?
No pressure. No pressure.
I'm just not sure.
You don't think you don't? There's not just
one
thing.
Tumblr. The website Tumblr.
Yeah, there's not just one thing in all of comic books that just makes you mad when you think about it.
I think just the constant number ones. I think that's kind of annoying.
Oh yeah.
But that's
okay.
Excessive
but
reboots.
That's not really a excessive. Yeah, just the constant, because it's just, I don't understand it. And then the thing is, like, DC will try to do, like, renumber it to, like, Detective Comics #1, and then oh wait,
renumbering,
we didn't do that.
Different problem, but also bad.
And then they adopt the legacy numbers once again, and then they're like, oh, nothing happened.
Right.
It's like, oh, it was the face. It's like, you can't do that. That's not fair.
This is not the same
That's
Batman.
Definitely not fair.
This is not the same Batman from Detective 27, you bastard.
Yeah, or just like, people will. I just think that's not really fair, but but that's kind of, I guess, from the top of my head.
Okay, right. That's not bad. That's not bad. I can't promise that somebody else won't bring that in, but if you ever come on the show, those are good problems to bring in. Well, we'll have to get you on the biggest problem to argue with us sometime.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, definitely. That would be fun.
I'm gonna steal that problem for tonight.
I don't think so, Eric. I call bullshit on that.
Just because I told you, I feel like, because
just because I told you didn't have to tell me what your problem was this week doesn't mean you get to steal a problem 10 minutes before the show and bring it in. Who the hell do you think you are, Dick Masterson?
Maybe another one could be how many Batman titles there are. I mean, there's just a ridiculous amount, an absurd amount of, like, Batman titles. Just like, wow.
I already have
Gotham Knights, Legends of the Dark Knight.
I already have over 1,000 potential problems in a document on my iPad. There are a lot of problems in and out.
That's amazing.
Books. There are a lot of things that just make me irrationally angry. But that's what's coming up.
I picked mine like 3 days ago.
Okay. Well, that's what's coming up in about 15, 20 minutes, guys. About 10:15, 10:20. We're gonna take a short recess. We're gonna switch over the overlay. We're gonna make sure Drew's around. We're gonna get everything set up. Ooh. Then we will be back to do biggest problem in the multiverse, episode 2, and reveal. Yeah, only one episode because I didn't win. We'll reveal what problem was the biggest problem in the multiverse last week, and go from there. Maybe talk about a few current events and some happenings that have taken place.
Hell yeah!
But yeah, we'll see you guys in about 15, 20 minutes. And I definitely want to thank Ryan for coming on. And sharing the book.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Hey,
I appreciate it every time. It's always fun.
Hey, definitely. And like I said, check Ryan's information out in the description down below. Like, share, subscribe, follow, all that nonsense. You can also support this show by checking out the Patreon down below. Just if you want.
Streamlabs, if you want me to eat this week.
Nah, fuck that. The Patreon. Definitely hit the Patreon. We're trying to starve Ayrton so that we can get him on camera as the Machinist, the Machinist. Is that Kristen Bale movie?
When I hit the link for the Patreon, it goes to an error. I don't know why. I tried to hit the link for the Patreon, it went to an error. I don't know. Let me just look it up on
I can imagine why. I've seen that.
Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Okay, I see it now.
Oh, it actually worked.
I don't know why it went to an error at first. Yeah, I don't know why, but it...
Okay. As long as it worked. Like, it's not a broken link. I don't know what happened. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you in about 15, 20 minutes. Again, thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Ayrton. I'll see you back here. Get us the hell out of here.
Oh, do I have to do the good night, everybody?
Yes.
Oh, good night, everybody.
All
I
right.
thought we were just going to give them like some music and then we were just going to come back. Do like a...
No.